How we looking? Alright, y'all, welcome back. I feel like it's a little off balance, but it's okay. Don't worry about that. Welcome back to Bed, Bible, and Beyond, where I, Keilanique, read the Bible in front of the world. I'm literally understanding the Bible in front of the world. And of course, there is a lot of stuff that I don't know and a lot of stuff that I'm willing to learn. And even after I read this, I'm still going to learn things later. So, we're going to be reading 16 through 20 of Genesis. Genesis 16 through 20. That's chapter 16 through chapter 20. Okay, so Sarai and Hagar. By the way, y'all, I don't know how to pronounce these names. It's just gonna have to be what it is. Okay. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said to Abram, "Behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go in to my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her." So, because Sarai, Abram's wife, couldn't have kids, he like, all right, let me try to go see if I can have kids with my servant, my maid. At least that's what I gathered from the text. Okay? And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Oh, she told him. She told her husband to go have kids with their servant. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. Oh, so she gave her husband up because they couldn't have kids. And I guess that's not something we would do in this generation. We would instead get a surrogate. But back then, I guess it was more important for their lineage to live on. Like, they weren't worried about who's with who. They more so wanted their lineage to carry on, which is understandable because back then they were set on reproducing. Things are a little different now. And he went to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. She looked with contempt. And Sarai said to Abram, hold on. So you told your husband to go have sex with another woman and get pregnant, and now let me just read on. Let me look up what the word contempt means. She looked on her with contempt. What's going on, sis? Yeah. The feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. It means to scorn, to disrespect, disgust, hatred, mockery. Hold on. So let me read that over. And he went and he gave birth with the servant. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. Oh, hold on. Is this saying that the mistress? Is it saying that I'm a little confused. Let me just read on. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt." Oh, my bad. My bad. So basically what it's saying is, homegirl, I gave you my husband, you know what I'm saying? And now you looking at me with disrespect. Now you trying to disrespect me? Is that what this text is saying? So let me read on. May the Lord judge between you and me. And Abram said to Sarai, "Behold, your servant is in your power. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her. Ooh, and she fled from her. Ooh, this is good. He said, "That's your servant. What you want to do, her, do what you got to do." And so she dealt with her. of the Lord found her by the spring in the wilderness, by the spring the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. He said, Hagar, servant of Saadi, where have you come from and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from my mistress Saadi. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her. The angel of the Lord said to her, I will surely multiply your offspring so that they cannot be numbered for multitude. The angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are pregnant and shall bear a son. You shall call him Ishmael, because the Lord has listened to your affliction. He shall be a wild donkey of a man. He shall be a wild donkey of a man. Oh, okay. His hand against everyone, and everyone's hands against him. And he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen. Okay, so the angel basically told the pregnant lady, the servant, to go back. To go back. Okay? So she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her. You are a God of seeing. For she said, oh, and this is also the first time that I'm seeing an angel being sent on behalf of the Lord. So she said to the Lord, you are a God of seeing. Truly here I have seen him who looks after me. Therefore, the well was called Bir Lahai Roy. Okay. Yeah, what does that mean? It means the well of the living one who sees me. Okay. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Abraham and the covenant of circumcision. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make my covenant between me and you, and may multiply you greatly. When Abram fell on his face, and then God said to him, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall you be named Abram. Your name should be called Abraham. For I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come for you. And kings shall come from you. Mr. Abraham. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout the generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. Okay, so basically God is saying, I'll be your God and your offspring's God. Okay? And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land. The wording in Bible scripture, I ain't gonna lie, be a little off. He says, and I will give to you and your offspring after you. Oh, I swear, the way that you read something can totally shift the meaning. So he says, I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said to Abraham, as for you, you shall keep my covenant, and you and your offspring after you throughout the generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. Every male, this is the covenant now. Every male among you shall be circumcised. Okay, does this still apply to you? Well, it does say all of your offspring, every male. So, cause I used to wonder why people get circumcised. I never really understood that. Besides for the fact that some people say it helps with cleanliness, but I wonder why it became like tradition. Why is it like a necessity? But this makes sense. So it says, you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who was 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not your offspring, both he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money shall be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any circumcised male who is not any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised, and the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. Dang. He shall, because he has broken my covenant. So if you ain't circumcised, or at least in the text, if you weren't circumcised, you broke God's covenant, and you should be cut off from your people. So Isaac's birth promised, and Isaac was, I don't think we read about Isaac yet. Okay. Well, wait. Ishmael was going to be called the name of the pregnant lady, her son. And God said to Abraham, as for your wife, you should not call her Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. So both of their names got changed. I wonder why the Lord changed their names. I will bless her, and moreover, I will give you a son by her. Oh, so now God is willing to give this wife a son. Okay? I will bless her, and she shall become nations. She shall become nations. Okay? Kings of people shall come from her. Then Abram fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? Hold on. Excuse me. That's how messed up Abraham got God. Do you not know that God, first of all, he allowed people to live for 900 years. Of course, that covenant was broken, and we had a curse, so people couldn't live past 150, I believe. But just because you're old, like, it was normal for y'all to be old then. Like, for us, we pass away around 90, 100, you know, that's standard. Or, I guess it's not standard, but people usually, how do I say this? Some people are making it to 90 years old. For them, 90 years old is nothing. So he's laughing at God like, bro, you really gonna give me a child at 90 years old, and my wife is 90? Wait, they both are 90? The man was 100, and the wife was 90. He's like, bro, how you gonna do that? Little does he know, he's God. Okay? And Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. God said, no, but your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with you as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He shall father 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, from whom Sarah shall bear to you at this time next year. So the Lord said, at this time next year, your wife is going to have a son, and you will name him Isaac. When he had finished talking with him, God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all those born in his house, and brought him. And all those born in his house bought with his money every male among the men of Abraham's house. And he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very day, as God said to him. So basically, the Lord said, you need to circumcise these people. Even if they're not your offspring, if you bought them, they need to be circumcised. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Now, I know that hurt. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised. And all the men of his house, those born in the house, and those bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. And the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing in front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent. He ran from the tent door to meet them, and he bowed himself to the earth and said, "O Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little light, no, where did I get light from? Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree, while I bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on." Since you have come to your servant, so they said, do as they have do. Since you have come to your servant, so they said, do as you have said. And Abraham went quickly into the tent and to Sarah and asked, "Quick, 3 seahs of fine flour, seahs, so 7 quarters or 7 liters of flour, kneaded and make cakes." And Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to a young man, who prepared it quickly. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared, excuse me, and set it before them. He stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, Where's your wife, Sarah?" He said, "She's in the tent." The Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife shall have a son." And Sarah was listening at the door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advancing years. The way of women has ceased to be with Sarah. Oh, so basically, the way of the woman has ceased to be with Sarah means like she was old and kind of like worn out. She was warning. You know how they say as you age, you ain't gonna be able to have kids no more? That's kind of what I'm interpreting this as. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I'm worn out and my Lord is old," excuse me, her Lord must be her husband, "shall I have pleasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Is anything? Hold on, where's my highlighter? I haven't been highlighting. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Basically, he's saying, girl, I got this. You don't believe in me? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time, I will return to you. At the appointed time, I will return to you about this time next year, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. He said, no, but you did laugh. God is funny. She said, no, I didn't laugh. He said, no, but you did. I don't know why that is so funny to me. I don't know why that is so funny. He said, no, you did laugh. I just imagine God like as like a... I don't even know how to explain it. He's just so funny. Like, how you gonna sit up and lie to me? I know what you did. Oh Lord, that's funny. Okay, line 16. Then the man. Okay. Then the man set out from there, and they looked down towards Sidon. And Abraham went with them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Once I start laughing, it's so hard not to laugh more. My cheeks are hurting like I'm really... He said, no, but you did laugh. How you gonna try to... How you gonna try to lie to me, bro? You literally laughed. Okay. Oh my gosh, that was funny. All right. So line 16. Then the men set out from there, and they looked down towards Sidon, and Abraham went with them to set them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Yes, because clearly they don't know how to accept the goodness of God without speaking down on it. If God tells me that I'm going to have a baby, I can assure, I can, that's like my confirmation. If God says something gonna happen, it's gonna happen. God has promised me multiple things, and even if it might look like I'm not getting that thing, like even if it might look like I'm not gonna get accepted into that school, it's gonna happen. Even if they say sorry, we didn't. Sorry, your application was, denied. That's cool. Because God made a promise to me. What you gotta say don't got nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. And stuff like that is sent to scare us or shake us up or test us. God said I'm gonna get into that school. I'm gonna get into that school one way or the other. Period. Let's say if they can only accept 20 students, either I'm gonna be one of those 20 that they select right away, or they're gonna select 20 and deny me, and the lawyer gonna spin the block for me. And one of those 20 students gonna drop out, something gonna happen, something is gonna occur, if they deny me on the first time, where they said like, oh my bad, that was a mistake. We want you, we need you. That's gonna happen. But I pray that it happens on the first time. But either way, it's gonna happen. Period. Anyway. So the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? For I have chosen him, that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing his righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has promised. Like I said. Then the Lord said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know. Abraham intercedes for Sodom. So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, and Abraham still stood before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not spare it? Will you then sweep away the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous sorry, something is going on and I did not grab my water. Where are we at? Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all of earth do what is just? Then the Lord said, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Ooh. So basically, Abraham asked God, he said like, okay, you're about to, you're going to ruin this whole city basically, right? I believe that's what he's saying. You're going to ruin this whole city, but are you going to ruin the people who are righteous too? Then the Lord said, you know what? I'm a just God. If I find 50 who are righteous, I will save the whole city. just because of that 50. And that goes back to show. Do y'all remember when Noah? It said that Noah he found favor in the Lord, so his family was also spared from the flood. Abraham answered and said, "Behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. I who but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? He said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. So basically he's saying, like, no matter the number, if somebody's righteous, I'm gonna spare it. Again he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. I need this. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again, but this once. Suppose 10 are found there. For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way, and he had finished speaking to Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place. First and foremost, I wonder why they speak as if the Lord is not omnipresent. Like, why is it saying like the Lord went about his way in, you know, these different type of things? Do we experience the Lord differently than what they experienced it? So the Lord will spare a nation if 10 were found righteous. Ain't that powerful? That goes to show, again, like I said yesterday, or the day before, if we do good, our family will be blessed. Period. Okay. So chapter 9, the Lord rescues Lot. Then 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet him. He rose to meet them, and bowed himself with the face of the earth to the face of the earth. Hold on, let me read this over. Make sure it's still recording. Okay. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Then Lot saw them. He rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth. And he said, my lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way. They said, no, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called Lot. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Probably because it's cold. And they called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. Lot went on to the men at the entrance, shut the door after him, and he said, I beg of you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Okay. Only do nothing to these men. Dang. He was willing to sacrifice his own daughters. He said, take my daughters. They haven't, they're still virgins. Do with them as you please. I know times are different. Things are different. But it's kind of sad for the women.